The rain hammered against the diner window as Ethan Calloway watched another woman walk out of his life. 32 years old, widowed, and so damn tired he could barely remember what hope felt like anymore. His daughter Mia was waiting at home with the babysitter, probably already asleep, dreaming of things he couldn't give her. Another failed date. Another reminder that loving him meant accepting his broken pieces and a 7-year-old kid nobody wanted to deal with. Then she sat down, uninvited, unafraid, eyes that saw straight through every wall he'd built. "You look like you're drowning," she said. "If you want to see where this story goes, stay until the end, and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this journey travels." The fluorescent lights in the diner buzzed like angry wasps. Ethan stared at the cold coffee in front of him, watching the surface ripple slightly every time a truck rumbled past outside. Christmas Eve. Of all the nights to be sitting alone in a booth that smelled like old grease and disappointment. His phone sat face down on the table, 3 missed calls from the babysitter. He'd text her back in a minute. Just needed to sit here a little longer and pretend the last 2 hours hadn't happened. She seemed nice at first, he muttered to nobody. The waitress, Carol, her name tag said, refilled his cup without asking. She'd worked here long enough to recognize a man who needed the silence more than the coffee. "Rough night, honey?" Ethan managed half a smile. Something like that. Carol moved on to another table, leaving him alone again with thoughts that wouldn't shut up. The date had started fine. Jessica from the accounting department, someone his coworker Mark had insisted was perfect for him. Pretty smile. Steady job. Seemed interested during their phone calls. Then he'd mentioned Mia. The shift happened so fast he almost missed it. The smile stayed in place, but her eyes changed. Became careful. She'd asked the usual questions: how old, what grade, how long had his wife been gone. Then came the excuses. Early morning tomorrow. Forgot she'd promised to help her sister with something. Maybe they could try this again sometime, though her tone made it clear they wouldn't. He'd watched her taillights disappear into the December rain and felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no surprise, just the familiar weight settling back onto his shoulders where it lived permanently now. The door chimed. Cold air swept through the diner, carrying the smell of wet pavement and pine trees from the lot across the street. Ethan didn't look up, didn't care. Footsteps approached his booth, then someone slid into the seat across from him. Ethan's head jerked up, ready to explain that he was waiting for someone, the automatic lie that usually sent strangers away. But the words died in his throat. The woman sitting across from him looked like she'd walked through the storm and decided to keep going just to see what would happen. Blonde hair fell in wild, rain-soaked curls around her face. Her jacket was too thin for the weather, and mascara smudged slightly under green eyes that studied him with unsettling directness. "You look like you could use some company," she said. Not a question. Ethan blinked. "Do I know you?" "Nope." She grabbed a menu from the holder, flipped it open without actually reading it. "But you've been sitting here for 40 minutes looking like someone killed your dog, and I'm tired of watching people be miserable alone on Christmas Eve." "I don't have a dog." "That's what you took from that sentence?" She glanced up, one eyebrow raised. A smile played at the corner of her mouth. "Jesus, you really are in rough shape." Carol appeared with another coffee cup, filling it without comment. The stranger wrapped both hands around it like the warmth mattered more than the caffeine. "Sienna," she said, "since we're apparently having coffee together now." "Ethan." "Nice to meet you, Ethan." She took a sip, winced. "This coffee tastes like regret and broken dreams, but it's warm, so I'll allow it." Despite everything, Ethan felt the corner of his mouth twitch. Poetic. "I'm very deep." Sienna set down the cup, leaned back against the vinyl booth. "So, want to talk about whatever made you look like you're contemplating the void? Or should we discuss the weather?" "I can do weather. It's wet. Very wet. Revolutionary observation." "I'm fine." "Liar." The word landed like a slap, but not an angry one. More like someone calling him out on something they both knew was true. Ethan looked at her. Really looked. Maybe 25, 26. Young enough that she probably shouldn't be sitting in a dying diner on Christmas Eve talking to strange men about their problems. There was something in her eyes, though. Something that suggested she knew exactly what drowning felt like. "Bad date," he admitted finally. "Really bad date." How bad are we talking? Like she ordered the most expensive thing and left bad, or she turned out to be your cousin bad? She found out I have a kid. Sienna's expression didn't change. And that's a problem because? Because it always is. The words came out harder than he intended. Because nobody wants to date a widowed guy with a 7-year-old daughter and a warehouse job that barely covers rent. Because I come with baggage that doesn't fit in the overhead compartment, and people can smell that desperation from a mile away. He stopped, surprised at himself. He didn't talk like this, didn't spill his problems to strangers in diners. Sienna was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned forward, elbows on the table. Can I tell you something, Ethan? I don't think I can stop you. You're right that you come with baggage. Everyone does. But your daughter isn't the problem. She pointed at him with one finger. The problem is, you keep meeting people who are too small and scared to love something bigger than themselves. That's on them, not you. And definitely not on your kid. Ethan stared at her. You don't know anything about my situation. I know you're sitting alone in a diner on Christmas Eve, drinking terrible coffee and pretending you're fine when you're clearly not. I know some woman just walked away from you, and you're acting like it's proof you're broken instead of proof she was wrong. Sienna shrugged. That's enough to work with. You always this forward with strangers? Only the ones who look like they need it. Carol reappeared with a plate of pie, apple from the smell of it, and set it down between them with 2 forks. On the house, she said, giving Sienna an approving nod before walking away. Sienna grabbed a fork. See? Even Carol thinks you need intervention. She took a bite, made a face. Okay, this pie is aggressively mediocre, but I'm eating it anyway out of principle. Ethan found himself taking the other fork. The pie was terrible. He ate it anyway. They sat in silence for a minute, 2 strangers sharing bad pie in a dying diner while rain hammered against the windows. What's her name? Sienna asked quietly. Your daughter. Mia. Just saying her name made his chest tight. She's 7, smart as hell. Funny when she's not trying to be. She likes dinosaurs and refuses to eat anything green unless I hide it in pasta sauce. Sounds like a good kid. She's the best thing I've ever done. Ethan set down his fork. Her mom died when she was 2. Brain aneurysm. One day she was fine, the next day she was gone. Just like that. Christ. Yeah. He rubbed his face. So now it's just me and Mia. I work nights at a warehouse distribution center, sleep when I can, and try to pretend I'm not drowning in bills and exhaustion and the constant fear that I'm screwing her up by not being enough. Sienna didn't offer the usual platitudes, didn't tell him he was doing great or that things would get better. She just listened. The dating thing, Ethan continued, surprised to find the words still coming. I tried to wait. Thought maybe I should focus on just being a dad. But Mia started asking questions about why she doesn't have a mom like other kids, why it's always just me at school pickup. And I thought, maybe if I could find someone, she could have that. Someone else to care about her, make our family feel less empty. But everyone runs the second they find out. Pretty much. He laughed, but it came out bitter. I had one woman tell me she wasn't interested in playing stepmom. Another one said she respected what I was doing, but she was focused on her career. Tonight's runner didn't even bother with an excuse, just said she didn't think we were compatible and left before the appetizers arrived. What a coward. The venom in Sienna's voice surprised him. He looked up to find her genuinely angry. You're better off, she continued. Anyone who can't see what they're walking away from doesn't deserve to be part of your life anyway. Easy to say. Doesn't make it less true. Sienna finished her coffee, pushed the cup away. You know what your real problem is, Ethan? I'm sure you're about to tell me. You're looking for someone to complete your family, like you're missing a piece. But you're not missing anything. You and Mia, you're already whole. You just need someone brave enough to join something that's already working instead of trying to fix what isn't broken. Ethan opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. He didn't have a response to that. His phone buzzed. The babysitter again. He sighed. I need to go. Mia's probably wondering where I am. Then go. Sienna slid out of the booth, pulling on her jacket. Be with your kid. That's more important than sitting here feeling sorry for yourself. Thanks for the pep talk, I think. Any time. She hesitated, then pulled a pen from her pocket and grabbed a napkin from the dispenser. She scrawled something on it, slid it across the table. That's my number. If you ever want to talk to someone who won't run away the second things get complicated. Ethan picked up the napkin. Why would you do that? Because I've spent enough time being alone to recognize it in other people. And because your daughter deserves to see you happy, which means you need to stop punishing yourself for things that aren't your fault. She turned to leave, then looked back. Merry Christmas, Ethan. I hope you find what you're looking for. Then she was gone, leaving him alone in the booth with cold coffee and a napkin with 10 digits written in smudged blue ink. The apartment was quiet when Ethan got home. Mrs. Chen, the babysitter, was asleep on the couch, with a holiday movie playing silently on the television. He paid her, helped her to her car with an umbrella, then locked the door behind her. Mia's room was at the end of the hall. He pushed the door open carefully, trying not to wake her. She was already awake. Hi, Daddy. Hey, baby. He sat on the edge of her bed. What are you still doing up? Couldn't sleep. She was clutching the stuffed elephant her mother had given her years ago. How was your date? Ethan's stomach dropped. Who told you I was on a date? Mrs. Chen. She said you were meeting a lady friend. Mia's dark eyes studied him seriously. Did she like you? I don't think so, sweetheart. Oh. That single syllable carried so much weight, disappointment, resignation, things a 7-year-old shouldn't have to feel. It's okay, though, Ethan said quickly. We didn't really fit anyway. Was it because of me? The question hit him like a punch to the chest. What? No, Mia, where did you get that idea? I heard you talking to Uncle Mark last week. He said you have a harder time dating because you have me. She picked at the elephant's ear. I don't want to make things hard for you. Ethan pulled her into his lap, held her tight. Listen to me. You are not, I repeat, not the reason anything is hard. You're the reason I get up every morning, the reason I work, the reason I keep trying. You understand me? She nodded against his chest, but he could feel her sniffling. Some people just aren't ready for how amazing we are, he said, borrowing Sienna's logic without really thinking about it. That's their loss, not ours. Promise? I promise. He kissed the top of her head. Now sleep. Santa can't come until you're actually asleep, remember? Santa isn't real, Daddy. Since when? Since Trevor Johnston told everyone at school last week. She yawned, settling deeper into her pillow. It's okay, though. I still like the presents. Ethan laughed despite himself. Fair enough. Sleep anyway. He waited until her breathing evened out, then carefully stood and backed out of the room. His own bedroom felt emptier than usual. He changed into sweats, checked that the door was locked, set his alarm for 6 a.m. The napkin with Sienna's number was still in his jacket pocket. He pulled it out, stared at those 10 digits. She'd been right about some things, maybe right about all of it. But texting a strange woman he'd met in a diner felt like the kind of impulsive decision that led to more disappointment. He set the napkin on his nightstand and turned off the light. Sleep didn't come easy. He kept thinking about green eyes and wild blonde hair and the way she'd said, "You're not missing anything," like she actually believed it. Christmas morning arrived too early and too loud. Mia burst into his room at 6:15, elephant tucked under one arm, demanding to know if Santa had come despite not being real. Let's find out, Ethan mumbled, letting her drag him down the hallway. He'd stayed up until 2 a.m. assembling the bike she'd been begging for. It sat in front of the small tree, a modest Douglas fir that leaned slightly to the left. Wrapped in a bow he'd probably tied wrong. Mia's shriek of joy made every second of lost sleep worth it. They spent the morning in pajamas, opening presents, burning pancakes, watching old movies. Normal stuff. Good stuff. The kind of moments that made all the hard parts bearable. But that napkin kept nagging at him from the nightstand where he'd left it. Around noon, while Mia was absorbed in putting together a dinosaur puzzle, Ethan picked up his phone. He stared at the napkin for a solid 5 minutes before typing anything. This is Ethan. From the diner last night. Just wanted to say thanks for the talk. And the terrible pie. He hit send before he could overthink it, then immediately regretted it. The response came faster than he expected. I was starting to think you threw away my number. How's Mia? He blinked at the screen. She'd remembered his daughter's name. She's good. Currently destroying a puzzle that's definitely above her age range. How are you spending Christmas? Photographing an empty park and pretending I meant to be alone. The artistic solitude thing. Very deep and meaningful. Sounds lonely. It is. But I'm excellent at pretending otherwise. Something in those words resonated. Ethan glanced at Mia, who'd abandoned the puzzle for her new bike and was riding circles around the living room despite the limited space. We're making spaghetti later. Store-bought sauce, probably overcooked pasta. Very gourmet. You're welcome to join if you want. The moment he sent it, panic set in. Too soon. Too weird. She'd definitely think he was some desperate single dad trying to... What time? His heart did something stupid in his chest. 6? I'll bring garlic bread, the frozen kind. We can be mediocre together. Mark. Sienna showed up at 5:45 with 2 boxes of frozen garlic bread and a bottle of cheap wine. I know you said 6, she explained, but I've been sitting in my apartment staring at the wall for 3 hours, and if I spent another minute alone, I was going to lose my mind. Come in. Ethan stepped aside, acutely aware of how small and messy his apartment was. Mia's bike blocked half the hallway. Puzzle pieces covered the coffee table. The tree was still crooked. Sienna didn't seem to notice or care. She set down the bread and wine, then crouched to Mia's level. You must be Mia. I'm Sienna. Your dad mentioned you're into dinosaurs? Mia, who usually took forever to warm up to strangers, stared at Sienna's wild curls with fascination. Did you know velociraptors were actually only about the size of a turkey? I did not know that. That's significantly less terrifying than Jurassic Park led me to believe. Right? Mia launched into an explanation of various dinosaur misconceptions while Sienna listened with genuine interest. Ethan stood there, not quite sure what to do with his hands, watching this strange woman connect with his daughter like it was the easiest thing in the world. Dinner was exactly as advertised. Overcooked pasta, mediocre sauce, frozen garlic bread that was somehow both burnt and cold in the middle. They ate at the small kitchen table with paper plates because Ethan hadn't gotten around to running the dishwasher. It was perfect. Mia talked nonstop about everything. School, her friend Emma, who moved away last month, the bike she'd gotten that morning. How her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, had a fish that died right before winter break. That's so sad, Sienna said, seriously. Did they have a funeral? We made cards, Mia explained. I drew him in fish heaven with lots of fish food. Very thoughtful. After dinner, Mia insisted on showing Sienna every corner of the apartment. Her room, her book collection, the art project she'd been working on. Sienna followed along, asking questions and making comments that weren't condescending or fake. By 8 o'clock, Mia was yawning through her sentences. Bedtime, Ethan announced. But Sienna just got here, Mia protested. Sienna will still be here tomorrow if she wants to be, Ethan said, then immediately wondered if that was presumptuous. I would love that, Sienna said easily, but only if you show me more of your dinosaur collection. Mia's face lit up. Deal. After the usual battle over toothbrushing and pajamas, Mia was finally in bed. Ethan and Sienna ended up on the couch with the terrible wine and the end of a Christmas movie neither of them were really watching. Thank you, Ethan said quietly, for coming, for being so good with her. She's easy to be good with. She's smart and funny and honest. Sienna took a sip of wine, made a face. This is truly awful wine. The best $3 can buy. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The movie played on, something about a prince and a baker falling in love through increasingly improbable circumstances. Can I ask you something? Sienna said eventually. Sure. Why did you really invite me tonight? Ethan thought about lying, then decided against it. Because you were right last night. About all of it. And because you talked to me like I was a person instead of a problem. Nobody's done that in a long time. People are idiots. Some people. Sienna turned to look at him. For the record, I didn't come here because I felt sorry for you. I came because I wanted to, because you seemed interesting and real, and those are hard qualities to find. I'm really not that interesting. You're a single dad working your ass off to give your daughter a good life while dealing with grief and loneliness in a world that keeps telling you you're not enough. That's pretty damn interesting. She set down her wine glass. Plus, you have excellent taste in terrible movies and mediocre spaghetti. Ethan laughed. really laughed. It felt rusty and strange and good. They talked until almost midnight, about everything and nothing. Sienna told him about growing up in foster care, bouncing between houses, never quite belonging anywhere, about discovering photography in high school and using it to capture moments that felt real when everything else felt temporary. I spent my whole childhood waiting to be sent back, she admitted, waiting for people to decide I wasn't worth the trouble. So I learned to leave first, easier that way. That sounds exhausting. It really is. She pulled her knees up to her chest. But it's the only way I know how to do things. Get close enough to matter, but not close enough to break when it ends. Does it always end? So far? She looked at him. What about you? What happened after your wife died? Ethan told her about the funeral he barely remembered, the months of going through motions while Mia learned to walk and talk and become a person. The slowly crushing weight of doing everything alone, while people offered casseroles and sympathy, but no real help. Everyone said it would get easier, he said. They lied. It doesn't get easier. You just get better at carrying it. That's the most honest thing I've heard in months. When Sienna finally left close to 1 a.m., she paused at the door. Can I see you again? She asked. Both of you, I mean. Not in a weird way, just I had fun tonight. Real fun. I'd like to do it again. Yeah, Ethan said. I'd like that too. She smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes, and walked out into the cold December night. Ethan closed the door and leaned against it, feeling something unfamiliar stirring in his chest. It might have been hope. Sienna started showing up more often after that night. Not every day, and never announced. She'd just appear, sometimes with coffee and bagels on Saturday mornings, sometimes with her camera bag and a random idea for an adventure that usually involved Mia and absolutely no planning whatsoever. We're going to the museum, she announced one frigid January afternoon, standing in Ethan's doorway like she'd been invited. Ethan looked up from the bills he'd been trying to organize. It's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. Mia has school tomorrow. It's a teacher workday. I checked the school calendar. Sienna held up her phone as proof. Come on. When's the last time either of you did something just because you wanted to? Ethan couldn't actually remember. They ended up at the Natural History Museum, where Mia spent 3 hours examining every dinosaur skeleton, while Sienna took photos of absolutely everything. The bones, the light coming through the windows, Mia's face pressed against the glass displays. Why do you take so many pictures? Mia asked at one point. Sienna lowered her camera. Because moments disappear if you don't catch them. And some moments are too good to lose. Like what? Like you right now, with that T-Rex reflection in your glasses. You look like you're about to fight it. Mia giggled and struck a fighting pose. Sienna's camera clicked. Ethan watched from a few feet away, something tight and complicated happening in his chest. He'd gotten used to doing everything alone with Mia. Used to being the only adult in her life who showed up consistently. Seeing someone else care about her, genuinely care, not just tolerate her presence, felt dangerous and necessary at the same time. On the drive home, Mia fell asleep in the back seat, dinosaur pamphlets clutched in her hands. You're good with her, Ethan said quietly. Sienna shrugged, eyes on the road. She's easy to be good with. Most people don't think so. Most people see a kid and immediately start calculating exit strategies. Then most people are missing out. She glanced at him. Kids are honest. They don't play games or pretend to be something they're not. That's refreshing. She likes you. I like her too. Sienna turned back to the road. And before you start overthinking it, I like you too. So stop waiting for me to run away. I'm terrible at running. I trip over my own feet. Despite himself, Ethan smiled. They fell into a rhythm after that. Sienna would come over a few times a week, sometimes staying for dinner, sometimes just passing through with something she thought Mia would like. A vintage camera from a thrift store, a book about deep-sea creatures, a bag of gummy dinosaurs, because why not? Ethan tried not to read too much into it, tried not to hope for more than friendship, but it was getting harder every time she showed up, every time she made Mia laugh, every time she looked at him like he was more than just a tired single dad barely holding things together. February came with freezing rain and a brutal cold snap that made getting Mia to school feel like an Arctic expedition. Ethan's car, already on its last leg, started making a noise that suggested expensive problems in the near future. It sounds like a dying whale, Mia observed from the back seat one morning. I know, baby. I'll get it looked at. When? Soon. He had no idea when. The warehouse had cut overtime hours, which meant his paychecks were smaller. Rent was due in 3 days. The electricity bill had gone up for some reason, and now the car was apparently auditioning for a horror movie. He made it to the school drop-off line, kissed Mia goodbye, and watched her run toward the building with her dinosaur backpack bouncing against her shoulders. The car made it another 2 blocks before it died completely. Ethan sat there in the middle of a side street, hazards flashing, trying to remember if he'd renewed his AAA membership last year. He hadn't. He called the warehouse, told them he'd be late, called a tow truck that quoted him $300 just to take the car to a shop, called his bank and confirmed what he already knew. He didn't have $300 to spare. Then he called Sienna, because apparently she'd become the person he called when things fell apart. My car died. Where are you? He gave her the intersection. She showed up 20 minutes later in a beat-up Honda that looked like it had survived several apocalypses. That was fast, Ethan said, climbing into the passenger seat. I was already nearby. She pulled back into traffic. Where to? I need to get to work. Night shift starts at 5, but I should probably go in early since I called out this morning. What about the car? I'll deal with it later. He rubbed his face. Can't afford to deal with it right now anyway. Sienna didn't say anything, just drove, but Ethan could feel her thinking. Don't, he said. Don't what? Whatever you're about to offer. I don't need charity. I wasn't offering charity. I was trying to figure out if I know anyone who fixes cars cheap. She tapped the steering wheel. My friend's brother owns a garage. He might give you a break on labor if I ask nicely. Sienna? It's not charity. It's knowing people. There's a difference. She glanced at him. Stop being so proud and let someone help you. He wanted to argue, wanted to insist he could handle it himself, but the truth was, he couldn't. Not this time. Okay, he said quietly. Thank you. You're welcome. She turned left toward the warehouse district. Now tell me what's really wrong, because you look like you haven't slept in a week. I haven't. Why not? Because I keep doing the math and it never works out. Rent, food, utilities, Mia's school supplies. I'm $300 short this month, and that's before the car decided to explode. He laughed, but it came out harsh. I'm one emergency away from completely falling apart, and the emergencies keep coming. Sienna pulled into the warehouse parking lot, but didn't let him get out yet. How much do you need? She asked. No. Ethan, I'm not taking money from you. We're not doing that. Why not? Because then this becomes something else. Something with debt and obligation and... He stopped. I can't owe you. I can't owe anyone. Sienna was quiet for a moment. You know what I think? I'm sure you'll tell me. I think you're so afraid of accepting help that you'd rather drown than grab the hand someone's offering. And I think that's stupid. She turned to face him fully. I have money saved, not a lot, but enough. And I'm offering to lend it to you, not give, lend, because watching you self-destruct over something fixable is killing me. Why do you even care? The question came out sharper than he meant it. Sienna didn't flinch. Because you matter to me, she said simply. You and Mia both. And people who matter don't get to drown while I watch. Ethan stared at her, at the fierce determination in those green eyes, at the woman who kept showing up even though he'd given her every reason to walk away. I'll pay you back, he said finally. I know you will. With interest. Don't push it. She smiled. Now go to work before you're actually late. I'll pick you up at midnight. You don't have to... I know. I want to. She leaned over and kissed his cheek, quick and unexpected. Go! Ethan got out of the car feeling like the ground had shifted beneath him. The shift at the warehouse was brutal. 8 hours of moving boxes, scanning inventory, dealing with a delivery truck that showed up 3 hours late. His supervisor, Mark, found him during the dinner break. You look like hell, Mark said, biting into a sandwich. Thanks. I'm serious. When's the last time you slept a full night? Mia was 6 months old, probably. Mark shook his head. You need to take care of yourself, man. You're no good to anyone if you collapse. I'm fine. You're not. Mark studied him. What's going on? Money problems? Ethan didn't answer, which was answer enough. How bad? Bad enough that my car is currently sitting dead on Riverside Avenue and I had to borrow money from... He stopped. It's handled. From who? That photographer girl you mentioned? She has a name. Sienna. Right. Mark took another bite. She seems cool. Mia likes her. Yeah. You like her too. It wasn't a question. Ethan sighed. It's complicated. It's only complicated because you're making it complicated. She clearly likes you. You clearly like her. Just, I don't know, do something about it before you overthink yourself into misery. I don't want to screw this up. Then don't. Mark stood, crumpled his sandwich wrapper. But doing nothing is still a choice, and usually the wrong one. Midnight came eventually. Ethan clocked out, exhausted down to his bones. Sienna was waiting in the parking lot, engine running, coffee in the cup holder. You didn't have to wait, Ethan said, sliding into the passenger seat. And yet here I am. She handed him the coffee. How was work? Long. Want to talk about it? Not really. They drove in silence for a while. The city was quiet at this hour, just streetlights and empty roads and the occasional car passing the other direction. Can I ask you something? Sienna said eventually. Sure. When's the last time you did something for yourself? Not for Mia, not for work. Something just because you wanted to. Ethan thought about it. I honestly don't know. That's depressing. Welcome to single parenthood. Ethan. She said his name like a reprimand. You're allowed to want things. You're allowed to exist outside of being someone's dad. Wanting things feels dangerous. Why? He took a long drink of coffee, buying time. Because every time I start wanting something, it gets taken away. I wanted my wife to live. I wanted to give Mia a stable childhood. I wanted to not be drowning in bills every month. Wanting doesn't change anything. What do you want right now? The question caught him off guard. He looked at her, really looked, at the way her hair caught the streetlight glow, at her hands on the steering wheel, fingers tapping unconsciously to music only she could hear, at the small smile playing at the corner of her mouth. I want to not be afraid all the time, he admitted. Of what? Everything. Losing my job, Mia getting sick, the car breaking down again, running out of money, being alone forever. He paused. Screwing this up. This? Us. Whatever this is. Sienna pulled over into an empty parking lot, put the car in park, and turned to face him. You want to know what this is? She asked. Yeah, this is me being scared too. This is me trying to figure out how to care about people without preparing for them to leave. This is me showing up every day even though my instinct is to run before I get hurt. She reached over, took his hand. This is me hoping you'll meet me halfway instead of pushing me away because you think you don't deserve good things. I don't know how to do this, Ethan said quietly. Neither do I. But we can figure it out together if you stop acting like you have to carry everything alone. He looked down at their joined hands. Her fingers were smaller than his, but her grip was firm, steady. I'm going to screw this up, he said. Probably. I'll screw it up too. That's how this works. She squeezed his hand. But we can screw it up together, which has to be better than being perfect and alone. Ethan laughed despite himself. That's the worst pep talk I've ever heard. I'm very inspiring. She smiled. Kiss me. What? You heard me? Kiss me. Right now. Before you think about it too hard and convince yourself not to. So he did. It wasn't perfect. Their noses bumped. The center console was in the way. Coffee breath probably wasn't ideal, but none of that mattered because Sienna was kissing him back like he was something worth holding on to, and for the first time in years, Ethan let himself believe it might be true. When they finally pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Sienna was grinning. See? That wasn't so hard. Speak for yourself. I think I bruised my ribs on the gear shift. Tragic. She put the car back in drive. I'm taking you home before we do something really stupid like make out in a parking lot like teenagers. Too late. Fair point. The rest of the drive passed in comfortable silence. When they pulled up to his building, Sienna walked him to the door even though he insisted she didn't have to. Mia's asleep, he said, checking his phone. Mrs. Chen had sent an update an hour ago. Good. She needs sleep. Sienna leaned against the doorframe. So do you. I will. Liar, he smiled. Probably. She kissed him again, softer this time, without the urgency. Just a quiet promise that she'd be back. Good night, Ethan. Good night. He watched her walk back to her car, watched her drive away, then went inside feeling like something fundamental had shifted in his life. Mrs. Chen was asleep on the couch again. He paid her, helped her to her car, then checked on Mia. She was sprawled across her bed, elephant tucked under one arm, looking peaceful in a way that made his chest ache. He stood there for a long time, just watching her breathe. The next few weeks felt like learning to walk on new ground. Sienna came over more often, stayed longer. She started keeping a toothbrush in his bathroom, started bringing groceries without being asked, started fitting into their lives like she'd always been there. Mia noticed immediately. Is Sienna your girlfriend? She asked one morning over cereal. Ethan nearly choked on his coffee. Why do you ask? Because she's here a lot, and you smile more when she's around. And yesterday I saw you holding hands. Would it bother you if she was? Mia considered this seriously. I don't think so. I like her. She's fun, and she doesn't treat me like a baby. That's good. But, Mia hesitated. But what? Will she leave like everyone else? There it was. The fear that lived in both of them, the one Ethan had been trying to ignore. I don't know, baby, he said honestly. I hope not, but I can't promise what other people will do. Oh, Mia pushed her cereal around with her spoon. I don't want her to leave. Me neither. Then maybe you should tell her that. Ethan looked at his 7-year-old daughter, who was apparently wiser than him. Maybe I should. But telling Sienna how he felt meant making himself vulnerable in ways that terrified him. It meant admitting he needed her, which felt like handing someone the ability to destroy him. He was still working up the courage when everything fell apart. It started with a phone call from Mia's school. The secretary's voice was professional but concerned. Mr. Calloway, we need you to come pick up Mia. There's been an incident. His heart stopped. Is she hurt? No, but she's very upset. Can you come now? He left work immediately, drove Sienna's borrowed Honda. His own car was still in the shop, across town with his hands shaking on the wheel. The principal's office smelled like old books and anxiety. Mia sat in a chair, face blotchy from crying, her dinosaur backpack clutched in her lap. What happened? Ethan demanded. The principal, a tired-looking woman named Mrs. Patterson, gestured to another chair. There was an altercation at lunch. Another student made some unkind comments, and Mia responded by pushing her. Mia doesn't push people. She did today. Mrs. Patterson pulled out a form. I understand this is out of character, which is why we're calling you instead of issuing a suspension. But we need to address this behavior. Ethan looked at his daughter. Mia, what happened? She didn't answer, just stared at the floor. Mia. She said I don't have a real family, Mia whispered. She said it doesn't count because I don't have a mom, and that Sienna isn't my mom either, so I'm basically an orphan. Rage flooded through Ethan so fast it nearly choked him. Who said that? Mr. Calloway, Mrs. Patterson started. Who? That's not important. What's important is teaching Mia appropriate ways to handle conflict. She's 7 years old and someone told her she doesn't have a real family. That seems pretty damn important to me. Mrs. Patterson's expression hardened. I understand you're upset, but that language isn't appropriate here. We're addressing the situation with all parties involved. For now, Mia needs to go home and think about better choices. Ethan wanted to argue, wanted to demand they do more than just send his daughter home like she was the problem. But Mia was crying again, and fighting with the principal wasn't going to help. Come on, baby, he said quietly. Let's go. They made it to the car before Mia completely broke down. Huge, gasping sobs that shook her whole body. Ethan pulled her into his lap, held her tight while she cried into his shoulder. I hate school, she choked out. I hate everyone there. They're all mean. I know. Why did Mom have to die? Why can't we be normal? We are normal, Mia. We're just different. Different is bad. Different means people are mean to you. Ethan had no answer for that. He just held her and let her cry and felt his own heart breaking. They were still sitting there 20 minutes later when Sienna pulled into the parking lot. She must have gotten his text. He'd sent one from inside the school, hands shaking too hard to type properly. She opened the car door, took one look at Mia's tear-stained face, and climbed into the back seat without asking questions. "Hey, kiddo," she said softly. Mia turned and threw herself at Sienna, sobbing fresh tears into her jacket. Sienna met Ethan's eyes over Mia's head. "What happened?" He told her, watching her expression shift from confusion to anger to something fierce and protective. "That kid's a little jerk," Sienna said when he finished. Despite everything, Mia laughed wetly. "You can't say that." "Why not? It's true. Anyone who makes you feel bad about your family is a jerk. Actually, jerk is too nice. But I can't say the words I'm really thinking because your dad would get mad at me." "What words?" Mia asked, curious despite her tears. "Nice try." Sienna wiped Mia's face with her sleeve. "Listen to me. That kid doesn't know anything about you or your family. She's probably dealing with her own stuff and taking it out on you because that's what scared small people do." I pushed her. "Yeah, and that wasn't the best choice. But I get why you did it." Sienna tucked Mia's hair behind her ear. "You know what, though? She's wrong. You do have a real family. You have a dad who loves you more than anything. You have people who show up for you. That's more real than half the normal families out there." "But I don't have a mom." "No," Sienna agreed. "You don't. And that sucks. It's okay to be sad about that, but it doesn't make your family less real." Mia was quiet for a moment. Then, so quietly Ethan almost missed it. "I wish you were my mom." The silence that followed was deafening. Sienna's face did something complicated. Ethan's heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. "Mia," he started. "I know you're not," Mia said quickly, looking at Sienna. "I know you're not my mom, but sometimes I pretend you are. Is that okay?" Sienna's eyes were suspiciously bright. "Yeah, kiddo, that's okay." "Okay." Mia settled back against Sienna's shoulder, exhausted from crying. They sat there in the parking lot, three people who didn't quite fit together but somehow made sense anyway. Eventually, Sienna looked at Ethan. "Take her home. I'll bring lunch." He nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. That night, after Mia was asleep, Ethan found Sienna on his couch, staring at nothing. "You okay?" he asked. "That's a complicated question." He sat down beside her. "Talk to me." Sienna was quiet for a long time. "I've spent my whole life avoiding exactly this, getting attached, becoming important to people, because important means it hurts when you leave. Are you planning to leave?" "No. Maybe. I don't know." She rubbed her face. "That's the problem. I don't know how to stay. I don't know how to be the person Mia needs me to be. She doesn't need you to be anything except yourself. She needs a mom, Ethan. She just said it. She needs people who love her, that's all." He took her hand. "Nobody's asking you to be something you're not ready to be." "What if I'm never ready? What if I screw this up and hurt her?" "Then you'll hurt her, and we'll deal with it." He squeezed her hand. "But running away now definitely hurts her. So maybe stay and risk it instead." Sienna looked at him with eyes full of fear and hope and something that might have been love. "I'm terrified," she whispered. "Me too." "Of what?" "That you'll realize we're not worth the trouble. That you'll wake up one day and decide this is too hard. That I'll lose you the same way I lost." He stopped. "I'm terrified of everything." "We're a mess," Sienna said. "Complete disaster." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Let's be a disaster together then." "Yeah," Ethan said quietly. "Let's do that." They sat there in the dark, holding on to each other like drowning people who'd finally found something solid to grip. Outside, the city hummed on, indifferent to their small fears and smaller hopes. But inside this messy apartment with its crooked tree and scattered toys, something fragile and important was taking root. Neither of them knew if it would survive. They were going to try anyway. The weeks that followed felt like walking a tightrope stretched over something sharp and waiting. Sienna kept showing up, but there was a new carefulness in the way she moved through their lives now, like she was testing the weight of every moment, checking if it could hold her. Mia noticed. Kids always did. "Is Sienna mad at me?" she asked one morning while Ethan braided her hair for school. "Why would she be mad?" "Because of what I said." About wanting her to be my mom. Mia twisted the elephant in her hands. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Ethan's fingers paused in her hair. You didn't do anything wrong, baby. Sometimes grown-ups just need time to figure out their feelings. That's what Mrs. Chen says when I'm confused about stuff. Mrs. Chen is smart. She's old. That's different. Despite everything, Ethan smiled. Finish your breakfast. We're leaving in 10 minutes. School had gotten worse since the incident. The principal had sent home a letter about building inclusive communities that basically said nothing while somehow making Ethan feel like his daughter was the problem. Mia came home most days quiet and withdrawn, immediately disappearing into her room instead of chattering about dinosaurs or whatever random fact she'd learned. It was breaking his heart in slow motion. She pushed another kid today, Mrs. Patterson told him during a tense phone call in early March. Nothing serious, but this is becoming a pattern, Mr. Calloway. Maybe if you actually dealt with the bullying instead of punishing my daughter for reacting to it. We don't tolerate physical aggression regardless of circumstances. Mia needs to learn appropriate coping mechanisms. Ethan wanted to throw the phone. Instead, he said, I'll talk to her, and hung up before he said something that would make everything worse. He found Mia in her room that evening, lying on her bed staring at the ceiling. Want to tell me what happened? He asked from the doorway. Not really. Tough. Principal Patterson called. Mia's jaw tightened. She looked so much like her mother in that moment it physically hurt. Emma said her mom won't let her come to my birthday party because our family is weird. Emma's mom is an idiot. Dad. Sorry. Emma's mom makes poor choices based on limited information. He sat on the edge of her bed. Who'd you push? Emma. Did it make you feel better? Mia considered this. For like 2 seconds. Then I felt worse. That's usually how it works. Ethan sighed. I know school is hard right now. I know kids are being cruel. But you can't keep pushing people, Mia. It's not going to fix anything. Then what will? He didn't have an answer. The truth was, nothing would fix it. Kids were brutal. The world was unfair. And all he could do was try to help her survive it. We'll figure it out, he said finally. That's what you always say. Because it's always true. Mia rolled onto her side, facing the wall. I don't want a birthday party anyway. Nobody would come. Ethan felt something crack inside his chest. Mia, I'm tired. Can you leave? He wanted to argue, wanted to tell her she was wrong, that things would get better. But she was 8 years old in 2 weeks and already learning that the world didn't care about fair. So he left, closing the door quietly behind him. Sienna was in the kitchen when he emerged, unpacking Chinese takeout she'd brought without being asked. Heard some of that, she said. Sorry, not your fault. Doesn't mean I don't feel terrible about it. She handed him a container. Eat, you look like hell. They ate in silence for a while. The apartment felt smaller lately, like the walls were pressing in. I have an idea, Sienna said eventually, about Mia's birthday. She doesn't want a party. I know. That's not what I'm suggesting. She set down her food. What if we did something different? Just the 3 of us. Make it special without the pressure of inviting kids who are being jerks anyway. Like what? I don't know yet, but we have 2 weeks to figure it out. She reached across the table, took his hand. Let me help, Ethan, please. He looked at their joined hands, at this woman who kept choosing them even when it would be easier to walk away. Okay, he said quietly. Help. Sienna's smile was small but genuine. I have some ideas already. They involve cake and probably too much sugar. Mia will love it. That's the plan. Later that night, after Sienna left and Mia was asleep, Ethan sat on his bed staring at the ceiling. His phone buzzed, a text from Mark. Overtime available next week if you want it. Rodriguez broke his arm. He needed the money. Desperately. But overtime meant less time with Mia, which meant more time with Mrs. Chen, which meant more money spent on babysitting, which defeated half the purpose. He was still running the numbers when his phone buzzed again. Sienna, this time. You still awake? Yeah. Come outside. He frowned, walked to the window. Sienna's car was in the parking lot, engine running. Why are you in my parking lot at 11 p.m.? Because I can't sleep, and neither can you apparently. Come on. Just for a minute. He should say no. Should be responsible and stay inside and try to sleep, even though he knew it wouldn't come. Instead, he grabbed his jacket. She was leaning against her car, breath fogging in the cold March air. "This is weird," Ethan said. "I know, but I was sitting in my apartment thinking about Mia and school and that kid's stupid mother, and I needed to see you." "You saw me 3 hours ago." "I know." She looked at him, and even in the dim parking lot light, he could see the fear in her eyes. "I'm falling in love with you, both of you, and it's terrifying." The confession hit him like a physical blow. "Sienna, I know I'm not ready. I know I'm probably going to screw this up, but I can't keep pretending I'm just casually involved here. I'm not. I think about Mia during the day. I worry about you working too hard. I want to fix things I can't fix and protect you both from things I can't control." She laughed, but it came out shaky. "I'm in way over my head and I don't know how to swim." Ethan closed the distance between them, pulled her into his arms. She came willingly, burying her face in his shoulder. "I love you too," he said into her hair. "I've been trying not to because it feels dangerous, but I do. This is a terrible idea." "Probably. We're going to hurt each other." "Almost definitely." She pulled back enough to look at him. "So what do we do?" "We try anyway." He kissed her forehead. "We keep showing up. We figure it out as we go. We stop pretending we're not already committed to this." "I don't know how to be what Mia needs." "Neither do I most days. We'll be bad at it together." Sienna laughed for real this time. "You have a terrible way of making things sound romantic." "It's a gift." They stood there in the cold parking lot, holding on to each other like they could prevent the inevitable disasters just by not letting go. "I should let you sleep," Sienna said eventually. "You should, but stay anyway." "Ethan, just tonight, I'll sleep on the couch. You take the bed. I don't want to be alone right now." She studied his face for a long moment. "Okay." They went back inside quietly. Mia was still asleep, door closed. Ethan grabbed blankets and a pillow while Sienna stood awkwardly in the hallway. "This is weird," she said. "You keep saying that." "Because it keeps being true." He set up the couch, turned to find her watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "What?" "Nothing. Just thank you for letting me be part of this, even though it's messy and complicated and probably destined for disaster. Stop talking like we're doomed." "Aren't we?" "Not if we don't want to be." He crossed to her, cupped her face in his hands. "I spent 3 years convinced I'd never feel this again. Never want anyone the way I wanted my wife. And then you sat down in that diner and looked at me like I was more than just my mistakes. You are more than your mistakes. So are you." He kissed her softly. "So stop waiting to mess this up and just be here." "I'm trying." "I know. That's enough." She kissed him again, deeper this time, and for a while they forgot about sleeping on separate surfaces or being responsible adults. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Sienna's eyes were bright. "If I stay in your room, we're not sleeping," she said bluntly. "I know. And Mia's down the hall." "I know that too." "So couch?" "Couch." She smiled. "You're a good dad." "I'm trying." That's enough. The next morning, Mia found them both asleep on opposite ends of the couch, blankets tangled together, looking uncomfortable and somehow right. "Are you guys dating now?" she asked loudly enough to wake them both. Ethan jerked awake, nearly falling off the couch. Sienna sat up, hair everywhere, looking confused. "What time is it?" Ethan mumbled. 7. "Are you dating?" He looked at Sienna, who was trying to finger comb her hair into something less chaotic. "Yeah," he said. "We are." Mia considered this. "Okay. Can we have pancakes?" Just like that, it was settled. No drama, no big conversation, just his daughter accepting what had become obvious to everyone. They made pancakes, burned on one side, undercooked in the middle, absolutely perfect in their disaster. Mia talked nonstop about a nature documentary she'd watched, barely pausing to breathe. Watching her happy made everything else worth it. 2 weeks later, Mia's birthday arrived on a Saturday morning that smelled like rain and possibility. Sienna showed up at 8 a.m. with bags of supplies and a grin. "Operation Birthday Adventure is a go," she announced, dumping everything on the kitchen table. "What's happening?" Mia asked, appearing in her pajamas. "We're going on a scavenger hunt," Sienna explained. But not a normal one. We're hunting for pieces of your birthday present across the whole city. Mia's eyes went wide. Really? Really. But you have to solve riddles to find each location. Sienna pulled out a card. Ready for clue number 1? They spent the entire day driving around to places that mattered. The museum where they'd spent that first afternoon. The diner where Ethan and Sienna met. The park where Mia liked to hunt for interesting rocks. At each location, there was a small present and another clue. By the time they reached the final destination, a photography studio downtown, Mia was buzzing with excitement. "What's here?" she asked, bouncing on her toes. Sienna opened the door. "Your last present." Inside, a photographer Sienna knew had set up a proper studio. Lights, backdrops, the works. "We're doing a family portrait," Sienna explained. "A real one, just the 3 of us." Mia looked at her father. "Really?" "Really," Ethan confirmed, throat tight. The session was chaos. Mia couldn't sit still. Ethan felt awkward and stiff. Sienna kept making faces to get Mia to laugh, which resulted in photos of them all cracking up. But when the photographer showed them the results, Ethan felt something shift in his chest. There they were. Not perfect. Not polished. Just 3 people who'd found each other and decided to stay. "Can we hang this in my room?" Mia asked. "We're hanging it everywhere," Sienna said. "I'm putting one in my apartment too." "You have an apartment?" Mia asked. "I thought you lived here now." The casual statement dropped into the room like a bomb. Sienna's eyes went wide. I'm here a lot, but you should live here," Mia said matter-of-factly. "You're here every day anyway, and you keep clothes in Dad's closet." Ethan's brain had stopped working. "Mia, that's not... We haven't talked about... Why not?" Mia looked between them. "You love each other, right?" "That's not the point," Sienna started. "Do you love each other?" "Yes," Ethan said. "Yes," Sienna said at the same time. "Then what's the problem?" Mia crossed her arms. "Grown-ups are weird." The photographer was trying very hard to look busy with equipment. They finished the session in awkward silence and drove home with Mia chattering about cake, while Ethan and Sienna carefully avoided looking at each other. Later, after cake and presents and Mia finally crashed from sugar overload, they stood in the kitchen cleaning up frosting and wrapping paper. "Sorry about that," Ethan said finally. "She shouldn't have put you on the spot." "She's not wrong, though." Sienna wiped down the counter. "I am here every day. My apartment is basically just where I sleep sometimes." "That doesn't mean you have to move in. We've only been together a few months." "I know." She stopped cleaning, turned to face him. "But what if I want to?" Ethan's heart did something complicated. "Sienna, I'm terrified," she interrupted. "I'm terrified of commitment and domesticity and all the ways this could go wrong. But I'm more terrified of splitting my life between here and there, of always feeling like I'm visiting instead of belonging. This is a huge step. I know, maybe too huge. Maybe we should wait and be sensible and do this the right way." She set down the dishcloth. "But when has anything about us been sensible?" He couldn't argue with that. "What about your lease?" he asked. "Month to month. I can break it with 30 days' notice." "What about space? This apartment is tiny." "We'll make it work." "What about Ethan?" She crossed to him, took his hands. "Stop looking for reasons this won't work. Do you want me here or not?" "I want you here." "Then let me stay." He pulled her close, rested his forehead against hers. "You're sure about this?" "I'm not sure about anything, but I'm willing to try if you are." "Yeah," he said quietly. "I'm willing to try." She kissed him, and it tasted like possibility and terror and something that might have been hope. Sienna moved in 3 weeks later with 4 boxes, 2 suitcases, and enough camera equipment to fill the hall closet. They rearranged furniture, made space where there wasn't any, learned to navigate each other's morning routines and weird habits. It wasn't smooth. Sienna left coffee cups everywhere. Ethan couldn't handle dishes in the sink overnight. Mia took advantage of having 2 adults and played them against each other until they figured out they needed to actually communicate. But slowly, impossibly, it started to feel like home. Ethan would come home from night shifts to find Sienna and Mia asleep on the couch, some movie playing quietly in the background. He'd find post-it notes with terrible jokes stuck to the bathroom mirror. He'd wake up to someone else making breakfast, to laughter in the kitchen, to the sound of a life that was fuller than it had been in years. He started sleeping better, started worrying less, started believing this might actually last. Then April came, and everything changed. Sienna's phone rang during dinner one Tuesday evening. She glanced at the screen, frowned. "I need to take this," she said, stepping into the bedroom. Ethan and Mia kept eating, but he could hear Sienna's voice rising and falling through the door, excited, disbelieving. She emerged 20 minutes later looking shell-shocked. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked immediately. "Nothing's wrong. That was—" She sat down hard in her chair. "That was a gallery in Paris. They saw my work online. They want to offer me a residency." "That's amazing," Ethan said, even as something cold settled in his stomach. "It's 6 months," Sienna continued, like she hadn't heard him. "In Paris. All expenses paid, studio space, exhibition at the end. It's everything I've been working toward." Mia looked between them, sensing the shift. "What's a residency?" "It's when an artist goes somewhere to work on their art," Sienna explained quietly, "to get better and show their work to important people." "In Paris? That's in France, right?" "Right. That's really far away." "Yeah, kiddo, it is." The silence that followed was deafening. "When do they need an answer?" Ethan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. 2 weeks. Sienna looked at him, eyes pleading. I haven't even processed this yet." "You should take it," he said, even though the words felt like swallowing glass. "Ethan, this is your dream. You should take it." "It's 6 months." "I know. I can't just leave for 6 months." "Why not?" The question came out harder than he meant. "You said yourself you've been working toward this. You can't pass it up because of us." "Because of you?" Sienna's voice rose. "You're not some obligation I'm trying to escape. You're—" She stopped, looked at Mia. "Can we talk about this later?" "There's nothing to talk about. You should go." "Stop telling me what I should do." "Someone has to, because you're clearly trying to talk yourself out of an incredible opportunity." "Maybe I don't want the opportunity." The words hung in the air like a slap. Mia pushed back from the table. "I'm going to my room." She left before either of them could respond. Ethan waited until he heard her door close. "You're going to resent us if you stay. Maybe not today, maybe not next month, but eventually. That's not fair. It's true. You'll wake up one day wondering what you gave up, and you'll hate us for it." "You don't know that. I know people." He stood, started clearing plates just to have something to do with his hands. "I know what happens when someone sacrifices their dreams for someone else. It eats at you, turns into poison." "So what, you're just deciding for me? You're making this choice without even asking what I want?" "I'm trying to protect you from making a mistake. By pushing me away." Sienna stood too, anger flashing in her eyes. "That's your answer to everything, isn't it? When things get hard, you push people away before they can leave on their own. That's not what this is." "That's exactly what this is. You're so convinced everyone's going to leave that you're doing it for me." She grabbed her jacket from the back of the chair. "I need air." "Sienna," but she was already gone, door slamming behind her. Ethan stood in the kitchen, surrounded by dirty dishes and the ruins of what had been a normal dinner 20 minutes ago. From down the hall, he heard Mia crying. He found her curled up on her bed, elephant clutched tight. "Is she leaving?" Mia asked through tears. "I don't know, baby." "You told her to go." "Because it's an amazing opportunity." "I don't care about opportunities." Mia sat up, face red and blotchy. "I care about her being here. I care about us being a family. Why does everyone always leave?" "Mia, Mom left. Emma's not my friend anymore. Now Sienna's leaving too. Everyone leaves." She was sobbing now, years of loss pouring out all at once. "What's wrong with us? Why doesn't anyone stay?" Ethan pulled her into his arms, held her while she cried, feeling his own heart breaking into smaller and smaller pieces. He'd been trying to protect them both. He'd just made everything worse. Sienna didn't come back that night, or the next morning. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom, her clothes still hung in the closet, but the apartment felt emptier than it had in months. Ethan called in sick to work for the first time in 2 years. Mia refused to go to school, and he didn't have the energy to fight her on it. They spent the day in a fog. Her in her room, him staring at his phone, waiting for a text that didn't come. By noon, he couldn't take it anymore. I'm going out for a bit, he told Mia. Mrs. Chen's coming over. To find Sienna? Yeah. Tell her I'm sorry. Mia's voice was small. Tell her I don't want her to leave. I will, baby. He tried Sienna's old apartment first, even though she'd given up the lease. The new tenant answered, looking confused. He tried the coffee shop she liked, the park where she'd taken photos, the diner where they'd first met. Nothing. Finally, he called her. It went straight to voicemail. It's me, he said, sitting in his car outside the museum. I know you're mad. You have every right to be. But please, just call me back. Let me know you're okay. Mia's worried. I'm worried. He paused. I'm sorry. For all of it. Just please come home. He hung up feeling helpless and stupid. His phone rang 10 minutes later. Not Sienna. Mark. Where are you? His friend asked. Rodriguez is back, but we're short-staffed. Need you to come in tonight. I can't. Ethan, I covered for you this morning, but my life is falling apart, Mark. I can't come stack boxes and pretend everything's fine. Silence on the other end, then, what happened? Ethan told him. The residency, the fight, Sienna disappearing. So let me get this straight, Mark said when he finished. The woman you love got offered her dream job and your response was to tell her to take it and leave? I was trying to do the right thing. You were trying to protect yourself. There's a difference. Mark sighed. Man, you've been waiting for this to fall apart since day one. The second things got real, you bailed. That's not... It is. You told her to go because you're terrified she'll leave anyway. But here's the thing. You can't control whether people stay or leave. You can only control whether you fight for them or give up. I'm not giving up. Then stop acting like it's already over and figure out how to fix it. The line went dead. Ethan sat in the parking lot, Mark's words echoing in his head. He'd spent 3 years convinced loss was inevitable. So he'd built walls, kept people at a distance, prepared for disaster. And the moment something good happened, he'd sabotaged it, just like Sienna said. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She's at my place. She's safe. She asked me to tell you she needs time. Rachel, Sienna's photographer friend. At least she was okay. He drove home feeling like he'd swallowed broken glass. Mrs. Chen was making grilled cheese when he walked in. Mia was at the table pushing food around her plate. Any luck? Mrs. Chen asked quietly. She's at a friend's house. She's okay. But she's not coming back, Mia said. Not a question. Not right now. Mia stood up, left her sandwich untouched, and went back to her room without a word. Mrs. Chen gave him a sympathetic look. She'll be all right. Kids are resilient. I'm not sure I am, Ethan admitted. Then fake it until you are. That's what parents do. The next 3 days were the longest of Ethan's life. He went through the motions, work, sleep, taking care of Mia. But everything felt gray and flat, like someone had turned down the color saturation on the world. Mia withdrew into herself, stopped talking about school, stopped asking for things, stopped being the bright, curious kid she'd been. She'd sit in her room for hours drawing pictures she wouldn't show him. On the 4th day, Ethan's phone finally rang. Sienna. Can we talk? She asked. No greeting, no warmth, just tired. Yes, please. Coffee shop on 5th, 1 hour. She was already there when he arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a cup she hadn't touched. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy knot. Hi, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. Hi. The silence stretched between them like something physical. I'm sorry, Ethan said finally, for pushing you away, for making decisions without you, for being an idiot. You were an idiot, Sienna agreed, but I was too. I ran instead of staying and fighting. You had every right to run. Maybe, but it didn't solve anything. She finally looked at him, and the pain in her eyes nearly broke him. I've been thinking about what you said, about resentment, about sacrifice, and I think you're partially right. His heart sank. If I stayed just because of you and Mia, she continued, if I gave up Paris without really thinking about what I want, yeah, that would probably turn toxic eventually. But that's not what this is. Then what is it? It's me trying to figure out what I actually want. Not what I think I should want, not what makes sense for my career. What I actually want. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. And I realized something. The dream I've been chasing my whole life, galleries, recognition, all of it, it was never really about the art. It was about proving I mattered, that I was worth something. Sienna, let me finish. She took a breath. I spent 18 years in foster care being told I was temporary, that I didn't belong anywhere. So I built this idea that if I could just be successful enough, important enough, maybe I'd finally feel like I mattered, like I deserved to take up space in the world. You do matter. You always have. I know that now. Because of you. Because of Mia. Because for the first time in my life, I have people who see me as more than what I can do or achieve. Her voice cracked. But I'm still scared. I'm scared that if I don't take Paris, I'll regret it. And I'm scared that if I do take it, I'll lose you both. Ethan reached across the table, took her hand. What if it's not binary? What if there's a third option we haven't thought of? Like what? I don't know yet, but we're smart people. We can figure it out if we actually work together instead of making unilateral decisions. Sienna's laugh was wet. We're really bad at this. Terrible, but we're trying. I miss Mia, she said quietly. I miss you. I miss our weird, chaotic little life. We miss you too. Mia drew you a picture, but she won't show me. Says it's private. She drew me a picture? About 20, actually. Our fridge is running out of space. Fresh tears spilled down Sienna's face. I don't want to lose you guys. Then don't. Come home. We'll figure out Paris together. What if we can't? What if there's no good solution? Then we'll figure out the least bad one. He squeezed her hand. But we do it together. No more running. No more pushing people away. We're a team, remember? A really dysfunctional team. The best kind. She smiled through her tears. Can I come home? You never left. Your stuff's still everywhere. I found 3 of your camera lenses in the bathroom yesterday. That's not where those go. I noticed. They sat there for a long time, just holding hands across the table while life continued around them. When they finally made it back to the apartment, Mia was sitting on the floor in the hallway like she'd been waiting. The moment she saw Sienna, she burst into tears. I'm sorry, she sobbed as Sienna dropped to her knees and pulled her close. I'm sorry I said you should live here. I'm sorry I made everything weird. You didn't make anything weird, kiddo. Grown-ups did that all by ourselves. Are you leaving? I don't know yet, but I'm here right now, okay? I'm here. Mia clung to her like she might disappear if she let go. They ended up on the couch, all 3 of them tangled together in a way that was probably uncomfortable, but none of them wanted to move. Mia fell asleep between them, tear-stained face finally peaceful. We need to actually talk about Paris, Sienna whispered. I know. I have to give them an answer in 8 days. Then we have 8 days to figure it out. She rested her head on his shoulder. What if we can't? We will. But he had no idea if that was true. Over the next week, they talked until they were exhausted. Late at night, after Mia was asleep, early mornings over coffee. Stolen moments between work shifts. They made lists, ran numbers, explored every possible option. Sienna could turn down Paris entirely. Stay with them. Focus on local work. But even as she suggested it, Ethan could see the grief in her eyes at the thought. She could take Paris for 6 months. They'd do long distance, video calls, visits if they could afford them. But 6 months apart after just moving in together felt like a disaster waiting to happen. She could take Paris, and they could all go. But Ethan couldn't afford to not work for 6 months, and uprooting Mia from school seemed cruel. Every option had fatal flaws. There has to be something we're missing, Sienna said on the 6th day. They were sitting on the floor of the living room, surrounded by crumpled papers covered in scribbled math. Like what? I don't know. A compromise we haven't thought of. You can't compromise on geography. You're either here or in Paris. What if I negotiated the terms? She sat up straighter. What if instead of 6 straight months, I asked for 3 months now, then 3 months next year? That way I could come home between, and it wouldn't be one huge block of time. Ethan felt something shift. Would they go for that? I don't know, but it's worth asking. She grabbed her phone, checked the time. It's early morning in Paris. I could email now. Do it. She typed quickly, then stared at the screen. What if they say no? Then we'll figure out plan B. We don't have a plan B. We'll make one up. We're excellent at improvising disasters. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The response came 18 hours later. Ethan was at work when Sienna called, breathless. They said yes, she said. 3 months starting in June, 3 months next April. Same total time, but split up. I can come home between sessions. Relief flooded through him so fast it made him dizzy. That's amazing. It's not perfect. It's still 3 months apart. But it's not 6, and you get to come home. He lowered his voice. You get your dream and us. That's pretty damn good. It's really good. He could hear the smile in her voice. I need to tell Mia. She's going to freak out, the good kind. I hope so. That night they sat Mia down at the kitchen table. I have news about Paris, Sienna said. Mia's face immediately closed off. You're leaving. For a little while, but not forever, and not for as long as we thought. She explained the new plan. 3 months in Paris, then home for 9 months, then 3 more months the following year. So you're coming back? Mia asked carefully, like she was afraid to believe it. I'm coming back, I promise. But you're still leaving. Yeah, kiddo, I am. And I know that's hard. But sometimes people have to leave for a little while to do important things. It doesn't mean they love you less. Mia was quiet, processing. My mom left and never came back. The statement hung in the air like a grenade. Ethan started to respond, but Sienna held up a hand. Your mom didn't choose to leave, she said gently. She got sick, and she died. And that's awful and unfair. But it's not the same as me going to Paris. I'm choosing to go, and I'm choosing to come back. Those are both my decisions. What if something happens? What if you get sick too? Then I'll come home. If anything happens that makes me need to be here, I'll be on the first plane back, I promise. How do I know you mean it? Sienna thought for a moment, then pulled out her phone. Give me your hand. Mia extended her hand cautiously. Sienna took a photo of their pinky fingers linked. This is our promise, Sienna said. I'm going to print this and hang it in my studio in Paris. Every single day I'm gone, I'll look at it and remember I'm coming back to you. And you can keep a copy in your room to remember I'm keeping my word. That's dumb, Mia said, but she was crying. Super dumb, but I mean it anyway. Mia threw herself at Sienna, sobbing into her shoulder. I don't want you to go. I know, baby, I know. Ethan watched them hold each other, his own eyes burning. This was the right choice. It had to be. But it still felt like they were all about to lose something. The weeks before Sienna left passed too quickly. They tried to make them count. Family dinners, movie nights, trips to places they loved, trying to store up enough memories to last 3 months. Mia handled it better than expected. She made Sienna a calendar to hang in Paris, each day decorated with drawings or stickers or terrible jokes. Sienna made her one too, a countdown to coming home. 79 days until I'm back, she told Mia the night before she left. That's not forever. Feels like forever. I know, but we'll video call every day. And I'll send you postcards from all the boring places I visit. And before you know it, I'll be home annoying you about leaving your dinosaurs all over the apartment. Promise? I promise. Ethan drove Sienna to the airport at 5 in the morning. Mia had begged to come, but Sienna had said no. Goodbyes were easier without an audience. They sat in the parking garage, neither of them ready to move. I'm terrified, Sienna admitted. Of Paris? Of screwing this up. Of being gone so long that you both forget me. Of coming back and nothing being the same. We're not going to forget you. That's impossible. You don't know that. I do. He turned to face her. You're part of us now, part of our family. 3 months doesn't change that. What if I change? What if I get there and realize I want something different? Then we'll deal with it. But stop catastrophizing. You're going to Paris to do amazing work, and then you're coming home. That's the plan. Plans never work out the way we think. Then we'll improvise. We're good at that. She kissed him hard, desperate, like she was trying to memorize the feeling. I love you, she said against his lips. I love you too. Now go before you miss your flight. Ethan, Go. I'll be here when you get back. She grabbed her bags, looked back one more time, then disappeared into the terminal. Ethan sat in the car for 20 minutes after she left, feeling like someone had carved out part of his chest. Then he drove home to his daughter, who needed him to be strong even though he was falling apart. The first week without Sienna was brutal. The apartment felt wrong, too quiet, too empty. Her stuff was still everywhere, but without her in it, it just felt like a reminder of what was missing. Mia retreated into herself again. She'd cross off each day on the calendar religiously, but she stopped smiling, stopped talking much, just went through the motions of school and homework and bedtime. Sienna called every day like she promised. Video calls where they could see her tiny studio apartment, hear about the other artists, watch her show them around Paris. Mia would perk up during the calls, ask questions, show her new drawings. Then the call would end and she'd go silent again. Is she okay? Sienna asked during a call 2 weeks in, after Mia had gone to bed early. She's struggling, Ethan admitted. School's still hard. She misses you. I miss you. I miss you both so much it physically hurts. Sienna's face was tired on the screen. The work here is incredible, but I keep thinking about what you guys are doing. Whether Mia ate her vegetables, if you remembered to pick up her library books. We're managing. You look exhausted. I'm exhausted, but we're making it work. He rubbed his face. How's the art? Good, really good actually. I'm pushing myself in ways I haven't before. The other artists here are brilliant and intimidating and inspiring all at once. I'm glad. But I keep counting days, 62 until I'm home. 61, Ethan corrected. Today's almost over. She smiled. 61. They talked for another hour about nothing important, just the comfort of seeing each other's faces. A month in, Mia came home from school with a paper in her hand. There's a Mother's Day art show, she said, not looking at him. We're supposed to do a project about our moms. Ethan's stomach dropped. Mia, I know I don't have a mom. Mrs. Rodriguez said I could do it about a grandma or aunt instead, but I don't have those either. You could do it about your mom who passed away. I don't remember her. Mia's voice was flat. I was too little. All I have are the stories you tell me. Then use those. I don't want to. She crumpled the paper. I don't want to do it at all. You have to do the assignment, baby. Then I'll do it about Sienna. Sienna's not your mom. The words came out harsher than he meant. Mia flinched. I know that, she said quietly, but she's the closest thing I have, and she's gone anyway, so what does it matter? She went to her room before he could respond. Ethan called Sienna that night after Mia was asleep. She wants to do her Mother's Day project about you, he said without preamble. Silence on the other end. Then, oh. I told her you're not her mom, but I don't think I handled it well. What did she say? That you're the closest thing she has. His voice cracked. And she's right, you are. But I don't know how to navigate this. I don't know what we are, or what you want to be to her, or how to handle any of this. I don't know either, Sienna admitted. I'm not her mom. I'll never be her mom. But I love her like she's mine, and I don't know what to call that. Family. What? That's what you call it. Family. It doesn't have to have a label more specific than that. Sienna was quiet for a long moment. Can you put her on? I know she's asleep, but can you wake her up? Sienna, please. He went to Mia's room, gently shook her awake. She blinked at him groggily. Sienna wants to talk to you, he said, handing her the phone. Mia took it, suddenly alert. Hello? Ethan couldn't hear Sienna's side of the conversation, but he watched Mia's face cycle through emotions. Surprise, sadness, something that looked like hope. Really? Mia said. You mean it? A pause. Okay, I love you too. She handed the phone back to Ethan, then rolled over and went back to sleep with the smallest smile on her face. What did you tell her? Ethan asked. That she should do the project about me if she wants to, that I'm honored she thinks of me that way, and that even though I'm not her mom, I'm not going anywhere. I'm her family, and family stays. Sienna, 51 days, she said. I'm counting too, every single one. I know. I'll be home soon. We just have to make it until then. Yeah, Ethan said, even though 51 days felt like an eternity. We'll make it. but he wondered if they really would. The Mother's Day art show fell on a Thursday evening in mid-May, 43 days into Sienna's absence. Ethan took off work early, picked Mia up from school, and tried not to think about the fact that every other kid would have their mothers there while his daughter had made a project about someone 6,000 miles away. The elementary school gym was decorated with construction paper flowers and misspelled banners. Tables lined the walls displaying student artwork, paintings, collages, clay sculptures. Parents milled around with phones out, taking pictures and making encouraging noises. Mia led him to her display without saying much. She'd been quiet all day, which worried him. Her project was a photo collage. In the center was the family portrait from her birthday, the three of them laughing, messy, and imperfect and real. Around it, she'd arranged smaller photos. Sienna teaching her about cameras. Sienna and Mia at the museum. Sienna braiding Mia's hair one morning before school. Beneath the photos, in Mia's careful handwriting, "This is Sienna. She's not my mom, but she chose to love me anyway. That's what family means." Ethan felt something crack open in his chest. "It's beautiful, baby," he managed. "Emma's mom said it doesn't count because Sienna's not really my mom." Mia's voice was carefully neutral. "She said I should have done it about Grandma or something. Emma's mom can mind her own business." "That's what Mrs. Rodriguez said, not in those words, but basically." Mia traced the edge of the poster board. "Do you think Sienna will like it?" "She's gonna love it." "Can we send her a picture?" "Absolutely." Ethan took several photos, sent them to Sienna immediately. The response came within minutes, even though it was past midnight in Paris. "I'm crying in my studio at 1 a.m. That's the most beautiful thing anyone's ever made for me. Tell Mia I love her. Tell her I'm so proud of her." He showed Mia the message. She smiled for the first time all day. They were heading toward the door when Mrs. Rodriguez intercepted them. "Mr. Calloway, could I speak with you for a moment?" Ethan's stomach dropped. "Is there a problem?" "Actually, the opposite." She smiled at Mia. "Could you give us a minute, sweetie?" Mia wandered off to look at another display, leaving Ethan alone with the teacher. "I wanted to tell you that Mia's made remarkable progress this semester," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "Her grades have improved, she's participating more in class, and the behavioral issues we were seeing earlier have largely resolved." "Oh, that's great. I know it's been a difficult year with the bullying situation and some of the other students' parents being—" She paused, clearly choosing her words carefully. "Less than supportive. But Mia seems more confident now, more settled." "We've had some stability at home," Ethan said. "That's helped." "I can tell." And her project today was incredibly mature. Understanding that family can look different but still be real. That's a sophisticated concept for an 8-year-old. Mrs. Rodriguez glanced at the collage. "Sienna seems like a wonderful influence." "She is." "Is she Mia's stepmother?" "Not officially. We're not married. She's just—" Ethan struggled for the right words. "She's family. That's the best way to put it. Well, she's clearly made a significant impact. Hold on to that one." "I'm trying." On the drive home, Mia was quiet again, staring out the window. "You okay?" Ethan asked. "Do you think Sienna's going to stay when she comes back?" The question hit him like a punch. "What do you mean?" "I mean really stay. Not just for a little while until she leaves again." Mia picked at her seatbelt. "What if she likes Paris better? What if she decides she doesn't want to be with us anymore?" "She's coming back, Mia. She promised." "People break promises." "Not Sienna." "How do you know?" Because he had to believe it. Because the alternative was unthinkable. Because if he let himself doubt, he'd fall apart completely. "Because she loves us," he said instead. "And people who love you don't break the important promises." "Mom didn't break a promise. She just died." "I know, baby." "What if Sienna dies too?" Ethan pulled into their parking lot, put the car in park, turned to face his daughter. "Mia, look at me." She did, eyes too old for her age. "I can't promise nothing bad will ever happen," he said carefully. "I can't promise people won't die or leave, or that life will always be fair. But I can promise that Sienna is coming home in 36 days. And I can promise that we're going to be okay no matter what happens, because we have each other." "What if we're not okay?" "Then we'll be not okay together. But we don't give up. We keep going. That's what we do." Mia nodded slowly. Okay, okay. They went inside, ordered pizza, video called Sienna so she could see the art show photos properly. For a little while, things felt almost normal. But that night, after Mia was asleep, Ethan lay in bed staring at the ceiling and wondering if they were all lying to themselves. If this was sustainable. If love was enough when geography and circumstances were pulling them apart. His phone buzzed. Sienna, texting because she couldn't sleep either. Are we crazy for thinking this can work? Probably. That's not reassuring. You want me to lie? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just scared. Me too. I keep thinking about coming home and nothing being the same. Or worse, everything being exactly the same and realizing I don't fit anymore. You'll fit. You always have. How do you know? Because you're part of us. You can't just stop being part of us because you went to Paris for a while. What if I change too much? Then we'll get to know the new parts. That's how this works. There was a long pause before her next message. I bought a plane ticket. What? Not for coming home, for you to visit. 2 weeks from now. I know money's tight, but I used some of my residency stipend. I need to see you. Both of you. Ethan's heart was racing. Sienna, we can't afford... It's already done. The tickets are booked. You and Mia. 4 days in Paris. I cleared it with the program director. Please, don't argue, I have to work. Mark said he'd cover your shifts. I already asked him. You asked Mark? I asked everyone. I'm desperate. I need to see you. Ethan stared at the phone, emotions warring in his chest. Part of him wanted to argue about money and responsibility and all the reasons this was impractical, but a bigger part just wanted to see her face in person instead of through a screen. Okay. Yeah, we'll come. Really? Really. Thank you. I love you so much. I love you too. Now sleep. It's like 3 a.m. there. Worth it. Telling Mia the next morning felt like watching someone come back to life. The careful blankness she'd been wearing for weeks cracked apart into genuine joy. We're going to Paris? She shrieked. Really? For real? For real. 2 weeks from tomorrow. That's so soon. I need to pack. I need to learn French. You need to calm down and eat breakfast, Ethan said, but he was smiling. The next 14 days passed in a blur of preparation. Mia made lists of things to see, practiced basic French phrases from YouTube videos, packed and repacked her backpack approximately 40 times. She was more animated than she'd been in months. Ethan tried not to think about the credit card bill this would generate or how he'd make up the missed work. For once, he just let himself feel hopeful. The flight was long and uncomfortable, but Mia spent most of it pressed against the window, watching the world shrink beneath them. Ethan dozed fitfully, dreaming of things he couldn't quite remember when he woke. They landed in Paris early morning, exhausted and disoriented. Sienna was waiting at arrivals, bouncing on her toes like she couldn't stand still. The moment Mia saw her, she ran. Full sprint through the terminal, backpack bouncing, nearly taking out 2 other travelers. Sienna caught her, swung her around, both of them crying and laughing at the same time. Ethan reached them more slowly, suddenly uncertain. It had been 7 weeks. What if things had changed? What if... Sienna kissed him hard enough to shut up every doubt in his head. You're here, she said against his mouth. You're actually here. We're here. I missed you so much. Missed you too. Mia was still clinging to Sienna like a barnacle. Can we see the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre? And can we eat croissants? Are French croissants better than American ones? Way better, Sienna promised. And yes to all of it. But first, let's get you guys to my apartment so you can sleep. Sienna's studio was tiny, barely room for a bed, a makeshift kitchen, and equipment everywhere. But the walls were covered in photographs. Some were clearly work for the residency. Others were of them. Ethan and Mia laughing, the family portrait from Mia's birthday, candid shots from before she left. You weren't kidding about looking at us every day, Ethan said. I told you, keeping my promise. She pointed to one wall where Mia's calendar hung, most days crossed off. Beside it, the photo of their pinky promise. Mia traced the calendar with one finger. 22 days left. 22 days, Sienna confirmed. Then I'm home. They spent the next 4 days being tourists. The Eiffel Tower, which Mia declared taller than expected and kind of scary. The Louvre, where she spent an hour examining ancient Egyptian artifacts. Cafe after cafe, where Mia ate her weight in pastries and Ethan drank coffee that made American coffee taste like dishwater. But the best moments were the quiet ones. Walking along the Seine at sunset, Mia between them holding both their hands, sitting in a park while Sienna took photos, and Mia fed pigeons despite the signs saying not to. Late nights after Mia fell asleep, Ethan and Sienna talking about everything and nothing on her tiny balcony. "I'm proud of you," Ethan told her on the last night, "for doing this, for taking the chance. I'm proud of you for not falling apart while I'm gone." "Who says I haven't fallen apart?" "Fair point." She leaned against him. 20 days until I'm home, that's nothing. Feels like something. I know, but we're almost there. She turned to look at him. And then I'm staying for 9 months, no more separation, until next April. That's a problem for future us. Present us gets 9 months together. I like present us. Me too. The flight home was harder than the flight there. Mia cried quietly in her seat, trying to hide it. Ethan felt hollowed out, like he'd used up all his emotional reserves and had nothing left. But they'd made it. 7 weeks down, 20 days to go. Back home, routine settled in again. School, work, video calls. Mia's calendar losing more days. The apartment feeling emptier but also more hopeful because this time the end was in sight. Then, 3 days before Sienna was supposed to come home, Ethan's phone rang at 2 a.m. He answered without thinking, heart already racing. "Ethan." Sienna's voice was wrong, shaky, scared. "What's wrong?" "The gallery offered me an extension, another 3 months, and a show. A real show with buyers and critics and everything I've been working toward." The words dropped like stones. "Oh. They want an answer by tomorrow morning, Paris time." That's great, Sienna. That's what you wanted." "Is it?" She sounded like she was crying. "Because I can't tell anymore. 3 months ago, I would have said yes immediately, but now I want to come home. I want to see you and Mia. I want to sleep in our bed and hear her talking about dinosaurs and eat your terrible cooking." "My cooking's not that bad. It's pretty bad." A wet laugh. "What do I do?" Ethan closed his eyes. This was the moment, the test they'd both known was coming. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I don't know. That's why I'm calling." "Sienna, I can't make this choice for you. I'm not asking you to make it. I'm asking for help figuring out what I actually want." "You want the show. Of course you want the show. But I want you more. It's not binary. You can have both. Not if I take the extension. That's 3 more months away from you. 3 more months of Mia marking off days and trying not to cry. 3 more months of feeling like I'm missing everything important." Ethan sat up in bed, fully awake now. "What would the extension get you, specifically?" "A solo show in one of the most prestigious galleries in Paris, exposure to collectors and curators from all over Europe, potentially career-changing opportunities. The director said people have launched entire careers from shows like this." "That sounds pretty important." "It does. But here's the thing. I've been thinking about what I said before, about chasing recognition to prove I matter, and I wonder if taking this extension is the same thing. Choosing validation from strangers over being with the people who already see me. Or maybe it's choosing both, recognition and home." "How?" "Take the extension. Do the show. We'll come visit again if we can, and then you come home after and we figure out the rest together." He paused. "But Sienna, you have to actually want this. Not take it because you think you should, not turn it down because you feel guilty. What do you actually want?" Silence on the other end. He could hear her breathing. "I want to do the show," she said finally. "I want to see if I can really make this work. Not because I need to prove anything, but because I'm genuinely proud of the work I've done here. I want to see it through." "Then do it." "But what about Mia? She's been counting down. She's going to be devastated." "She'll survive. We both will. It's 3 more months, not forever." "You keep saying that, but 3 months is a long time." "It is. But you know what's longer? A lifetime of wondering what would have happened if you'd stayed. A lifetime of small resentments building up because you gave up something important." His voice softened. "We'll be here when you're done. We're not going anywhere." "How are you so calm about this?" "I'm not calm. I'm terrified. But I'm also sure. I'm sure about you, about us, and I'm sure that if we can survive 3 months apart, we can survive 3 more. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. Now go tell them yes before you change your mind. Ethan, go. We'll talk tomorrow. Tell them yes. She hung up. Ethan sat in the dark for a long time, trying to convince himself he'd said the right thing. Telling Mia the next day was as bad as expected. She'd been so excited, had her whole welcome home plan ready, signs she'd made, cookies she'd baked with Mrs. Chen, a card she'd written. She's not coming. Her face crumpled. But she promised. I know, baby, but something important came up for her work, a really big opportunity. I don't care about opportunities. I care about her being here. I know you do, but Sienna cares about her work too, and we have to support that, even when it's hard. I don't want to support it. I want her home. Mia, everyone leaves. She was crying now, years of abandonment pouring out. Everyone always leaves. Mom left, Emma left, now Sienna's leaving again. What's wrong with me that nobody wants to stay? Ethan pulled her into his arms, even as she fought him. Nothing is wrong with you. Sienna is coming home. Just not yet. You keep saying that, but she's never here. She's always somewhere else choosing things that aren't us. That's not fair. I don't care if it's fair. I want her here. She pulled away, ran into her room, slammed the door. Ethan stood in the kitchen, surrounded by welcome home decorations, and felt like the worst father in the world. That night's video call was tense. Mia refused to talk, just sat there crying silently while Sienna apologized over and over. I'm so sorry, kiddo. I know you're disappointed. Mia didn't respond. I'm coming home as soon as the show is over. September 15th. That's the date. It's locked in now. I promise. I don't believe your promises anymore, Mia said quietly. Then she got up and left. Sienna's face on the screen was devastated. Ethan, she'll be okay. She just needs time. She hates me. She doesn't hate you. She's hurt. There's a difference. What do I do? Give her space. Keep showing up. Prove you mean it when you say you're coming home. What if I've ruined everything? You haven't. But Sienna, you have to actually come home in September. No more extensions. No more delays. If you commit to that date, you have to keep it. I will. I swear. September 15th. Okay. Do you hate me too? No, I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I'm worried about Mia, but I don't hate you. I'm sorry. I know. Just make it worth it, okay? Make this show so good that we can look back and say it was worth 3 extra months apart. I'll try. The next 3 months were the hardest yet. Mia stayed angry, refusing to engage in video calls, barely looking at Sienna's texts. She threw herself into school and friends and anything that wasn't thinking about Paris. Ethan tried to bridge the gap, but he was drowning himself. Extra shifts to make up for the Paris trip, bills piling up, the car breaking down again, one crisis after another with no backup. His calls with Sienna became shorter, more strained. She was busy with show preparations. He was exhausted. They both tried to pretend things were fine. They weren't fine. 2 weeks before Sienna was supposed to come home, Ethan answered the door to find Mia standing there with an envelope. What's this? He asked. I wrote Sienna a letter. Can you mail it? You can just email her. I want to mail it, please. He took the envelope, addressed to Sienna's Paris apartment. What does it say? It's private. Mia's jaw was set. Just send it, okay? He mailed it the next day, wondering what his 8-year-old daughter had written that she couldn't say in a video call. The response came a week later. Sienna called, voice thick with tears. What did Mia's letter say? Ethan asked. She drew a picture of our family, and on the back she wrote, families don't have to match. They just have to stay. Sienna was openly crying now. She said she forgives me for staying longer, but she needs me to keep this promise. She needs me to come home and not leave again. Are you going to? Yes. I'm coming home. September 15th. I already booked the flight. I'm not changing it. No matter what happens, I'm coming home. Good. Ethan, I can't keep doing this. The long distance, the separation, I thought I could handle it, but I can't. I miss you both too much. What about next April, the second half of the residency? I'm going to ask if I can do it remotely or turn it down. I don't care anymore. I just want to be with you guys. Sienna, I mean it. This show made me realize something. All the validation in the world doesn't mean anything if I don't have people to share it with. You and Mia, you're my people. And I'm done choosing anything over being with you. Ethan felt something tight in his chest finally loosen. We're your people. Forever. If you'll have me. Always. I love you. I love you too. Come home. 9 days. 9 days. September 15th fell on a Saturday. Ethan and Mia got to the airport 2 hours early, both too nervous to wait at home. Mia had made a new sign, simpler this time. Just "Welcome home" in careful letters. What if her flight's delayed? Mia asked for the third time. Then we wait. What if she changed her mind? She didn't. How do you know? Because she promised, and this time she's keeping it. The flight landed on time. They waited at arrivals, Mia practically vibrating with anticipation. Then Sienna walked through the doors. She looked different, thinner, more tired, hair shorter than when she'd left. But her eyes found them immediately, and the smile that broke across her face was pure relief. Mia ran. Sienna dropped her bags and caught her, both of them crying. "You came back," Mia sobbed into her shoulder. "I promised. I told you I'd come home." "I know, but I was still scared." "I'm here now. I'm here and I'm staying." Ethan reached them, wrapped his arms around both of them. They stood there in the middle of the arrivals terminal, three people who'd been pulled apart and found their way back together. "Let's go home," Sienna said. "Yeah," Ethan agreed. "Let's go home." The apartment felt different with Sienna back, fuller, louder, more alive. She unpacked slowly, telling stories about Paris and the show and the people she'd met. Mia hung on every word, making up for months of silence. That night, after Mia was finally asleep, Ethan and Sienna sat on the couch with terrible wine and the comfortable exhaustion of being together. "I talked to the residency," Sienna said, "about next April. And I'm not going back. I told them I needed to be here. They understood." "Sienna, you didn't have to." "I did, and I wanted to." She took his hand. "I thought I needed Paris to prove something, but the show taught me I was wrong. The work I'm proudest of? It's the photos of you and Mia. The messy, real moments. That's what matters." "What will you do instead?" "I got offered a teaching position at the community college. Photography basics. It's not prestigious, but it's here. And it's steady income. And I can still do my own work on the side." "You're sure?" "I'm sure." She turned to face him fully. "Ethan, I spent my whole childhood being temporary, moving from place to place, never belonging anywhere. And I think I was still living like that. Always ready to leave. Always choosing the next thing over putting down roots. But I don't want to live that way anymore." "What do you want?" "This, you, Mia, the messy apartment and burnt dinners and school projects. I want to stop running and start building something that lasts." She paused. "I want to marry you." Ethan's brain stopped working. "What?" "Not right now. We're both exhausted and probably not thinking clearly, but eventually. When it makes sense. I want to marry you and officially be part of this family. If you want that too." "I want that," he said, voice rough. "I've wanted that. Then let's do it. Not now, but someday. When we're ready." "Someday," he agreed. She kissed him, and it tasted like coming home. 3 months later, on a random Tuesday evening, Ethan came home from work to find Sienna and Mia in the kitchen making dinner, or attempting to. There was flour everywhere. "What's happening here?" he asked. "We're making homemade pasta," Mia announced. "It's going very badly." "I can see that." "But it's fun," Sienna added, flicking flour at him. "Come help." They finished dinner together. The pasta was lumpy and overcooked, but they ate it anyway. Afterward, they decorated the tiny Christmas tree they'd put up too early because Mia insisted. "Remember last Christmas?" Sienna asked, hanging a crooked ornament. "When we barely knew each other?" "I remember," Ethan said. "You sat down in that diner and completely changed my life." "Our lives," Mia corrected. "She changed our lives." "Our lives," Ethan agreed. They stood back to look at the tree, still crooked, lights tangled, ornaments placed by Mia with no sense of balance or symmetry. It was perfect in its imperfection. Later that night, after Mia was asleep, Ethan found Sienna on the couch looking at her phone. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Looking at photos from Paris. The show was incredible. Everything I worked for." "Any regrets about not going back?" She looked up at him. "Not even one. You want to know why?" "Why?" "Because I learned something important. Success without people you love is just noise. And I'd rather have messy, imperfect, beautiful chaos with you than all the recognition in the world." Ethan sat beside her. "We are pretty chaotic. The best kind." She leaned against him. "You know what I was thinking today?" "What?" "About what Mia wrote. That families don't have to match. They just have to stay. And she's right. We don't look like a traditional family. We're cobbled together from broken pieces and second chances. But we stayed. When it was hard, when it would have been easier to walk away, we stayed. We did. That's the real story, isn't it? Not that we're perfect or that everything worked out smoothly, but that we chose each other. Every single day, even when it was hard, we kept choosing each other." Ethan pulled her closer. "And we're going to keep choosing each other." "Yeah, we are." They sat there in the quiet apartment, holding on to each other while the world continued outside. There would be more challenges ahead, money problems, work stress, Mia's teenage years looming in the future. Nothing was solved permanently. Life didn't work that way. But they had something stronger than perfect circumstances. They had commitment. They had choice. They had each other. And maybe that was the real lesson. Love didn't save people because it was effortless or because everything magically fell into place. Love saved people because they decided it was worth fighting for. Because when things got hard, they didn't run. They stayed. They figured it out together. They kept showing up. On Christmas Eve, exactly 1 year after the night they'd met, Ethan woke to find Sienna already up, looking out the window at fresh snow. "Merry Christmas," he said. "Merry Christmas." She turned, smiled. "I got you something." "We said no gifts this year." I lied. She handed him a small box. Inside was a key. Not to the apartment, they already shared that. Something else. "It's to a studio space," Sienna explained. "Downtown, I rented it, for both of us. You've been talking about wanting to build things again, like you did before Mia was born. Furniture, shelves, whatever. And I need a proper darkroom, so I thought we could share it." Ethan stared at the key. "Sienna, we can't afford—" "We can. I ran the numbers with my teaching salary and your overtime. It's tight, but we can make it work if we're smart." She took his hands. "I don't want us to just survive anymore. I want us to actually live. To do things that make us happy, not just things that pay bills." "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll use it. Say you'll stop putting your own dreams on hold because you think being a good father means sacrificing everything." "I love you," he said instead. "I love you too. Now get dressed. Mia's going to be up soon, and I want to make her terrible pancakes." They made terrible pancakes. Mia loved them anyway. They opened presents, modest ones, nothing extravagant, but chosen with care. They spent the day in pajamas, watching movies, and eating too much candy. It was ordinary and perfect, and everything they needed. That evening, while Mia was absorbed in a new puzzle, Ethan pulled out the ring he'd been hiding for 2 months. Nothing fancy. He couldn't afford fancy, but real and solid and permanent. "Sienna." She looked up from her camera, where she'd been reviewing photos of the day. He got down on one knee right there in their messy living room with wrapping paper still everywhere and dishes in the sink. "You asked me 3 months ago if I wanted to marry you someday. This is me saying someday is now, or soon, whenever you want. But I'm ready if you are." Sienna's eyes filled with tears. "Are you seriously proposing to me in your Star Wars pajamas? Is that a problem? It's perfect." She dropped to her knees in front of him. "Yes. 1,000 times, yes." He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit. "Are you guys getting married?" Mia asked from the floor, not looking up from her puzzle. "Yeah, kiddo," Sienna said. "We are." "Cool. Can I be in the wedding?" "You're going to be the whole wedding." "Even cooler." Just like that, their family became official. Not because a piece of paper said so, but because they'd all chosen it. Because after everything, the loss, the fear, the separation, the doubt, they decided to build something together. 6 months later, they got married in the park where Mia liked to hunt for rocks. Nothing fancy, just them and Mrs. Chen and Mark and a few other people who mattered. Mia stood between them during the vows, holding both their hands. "I promise to stay," Sienna said, looking at both Ethan and Mia. "When it's easy and when it's hard, when I'm scared and when I'm sure. I promise to keep choosing you every single day." "I promise to let you in," Ethan said, "to stop trying to carry everything alone, to trust that you're not going anywhere, to choose you right back. And I promise not to push anyone else," Mia added seriously, making everyone laugh. They kissed while Mia made exaggerated gagging noises. Mrs. Chen cried. Mark took terrible photos on his phone. It was perfect in its imperfection. Afterward, they went home to their tiny apartment that now held 3 people in all their messy, beautiful chaos. Sienna's photos covered every wall. Mia's drawings filled the fridge. Ethan's first attempt at building a bookshelf stood crookedly in the corner, holding all their favorite stories. That night, after Mia was asleep, Ethan and Sienna stood on their small balcony looking at the city lights. "We did it," Sienna said quietly. "We actually made it work." "We did. I was so sure I'd screw this up, that I'd run or you'd push me away or something would break that we couldn't fix. But we didn't. We stayed." "We stayed," she echoed, "even when it was terrifying." Ethan pulled her close. "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think that's the whole point. Life's going to keep throwing things at us. Money problems, work stress. Eventually Mia's going to be a teenager and hate us both. None of that's going away." Very encouraging. "But we know how to weather it now. We know how to stay even when it's hard. That's what matters." Sienna rested her head on his shoulder. "I never thought I'd find this. A place where I belonged. People who wanted me to stay. You found it. You found us. You found me first, in that diner. Best decision I ever made not asking you to leave. Best decision I ever made sitting down." They stood there at the quiet night, 2 people who'd been broken and lost and terrified, who'd somehow found each other and built something worth keeping. Inside, Mia slept peacefully, dreaming about dinosaurs and whatever else filled her 8-year-old mind. Above them, stars struggled to show through city light pollution. Around them, the world kept spinning with all its chaos and beauty and heartbreak. But here, in this moment, on this balcony, they had everything they needed. They had each other. They had stayed. And they would keep staying through whatever came next because that's what families do. Real families. The ones built from choice and commitment and showing up even when it's hard. The ones that don't have to match. The ones that just have to stay.